Hi guys, and welcome back. Yeah, we are still talking about farming, and today we are going to do the basics of farming. We are going to discuss how, when, what, who, all the 5 questions, critical questions that should ask before starting any business. Remember that we said agriculture or farming should be taken as a business. You're not doing this because you're idle. You're not doing this to figure out something. You're doing this to make money, so ensure it's profitable. And the first thing is planning. So why I'm here, it's because a lot of you guys reach out and you're like, "Hey Wangare, you're so inspiring. I'd like to know how and when and what to farm," and all those introduction consultation questions. And I charge a hefty fee for that one, because I come to your farm, I do diagnosis, we do soil tests, we do all those things. But today I'm spilling the beans, guys. I'm spilling the beans. So in the spirit of Valentine, I'm shooting on Valentine's Day. I'm not sure when this video will go up. We are wearing red and it's a bit chilly, so we've just put a wrap around. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. So we are going to start with what. What are you going to grow? And what you're going to grow is determined by various factors. So you can decide to go into crop farming or animal farming. For me, mostly I specialize in crop farming because the issue of space, although I do have animals. I'm breeding rabbits here and they're multiplying, guys. I can't even keep count anymore. The way they say bunnies breed, oh, they are right. So yeah, and so need to know what. So on crop, start on the easy types of crops. Start on the, not on the maize and mahindi like our parents did. Try something that is more lucrative but simpler, like vegetables. If you would start with kienyeji vegetables, it's usually my ideal go-to crop to refer to clients who've never farmed before, because I feel like it's more manageable compared to telling someone to go into heavy investments of getting a greenhouse or planting for export, or even planting something like tomatoes, which is lucrative, but it's a bit of a hassle in terms of maintenance. So yeah, so know what you're going to farm. So here is when you always need an expert who can guide you. Do research. A lot of research that I usually do is from books, libraries, people who farmed before, and of course the YouTube library. Guys, on that note, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I have very many videos that if you would watch all of them, I can say you are somewhere in the ups of a degree in agriculture. Yeah, but I'm self-taught. I don't have I have an MBA in business management. I do not have any academic background on farming, but this is just to farm. It's just passion oozing, and just, yeah, self-taught. And yeah, this is the thing I'm doing for life, so I'm building on it slowly, and one day it's going to become an empire very soon. I'm already happy with how the channel is performing. You guys are subscribing, you're viewing. Oh, anyway, on that note of what to farm, so you can decide to grow either garlic, you can decide onion, you can decide tomatoes, you can decide bogas, you can decide cabbages, you can decide anything you want to, and then narrow down on that. If you're very fresh, I usually suggest you start with 3 crops and then narrow down into what is your thing. Because let me tell you, remember, the universe is energy. So even the living things, which are crops or animals, are energy. And there is a way your neighbor is thriving at pig farming, and perhaps that's not your thing. So you need to give yourself experimentation time to figure out what rhymes with my energy, what is good for the kind, what flows in my blood. Is it cows going to dairy farming? Let's not be those Kenyans who, if you open a butchery here, your next door neighbor will open a butchery, and like that. Let's also give ourselves time to experiment. What is our vibe? What are we into? And what crops or animals mesh well with that? So on where, which is the second issue, where to plant or where to set up your farm. This depends on climate. So for example, I farm in Kajiado, which is very hot. Asal, don't let this short rains fool you. It gets quite hot here, and plants, you can see them struggling. You can see them thinking, oh my god, we're in the desert. But also I also farm in Nyahururu, which is traditionally where I'm from. I've been born and bred in Nyahururu, and there it's a different climate. There is morning dew, so crops tend to be more green throughout the year because it's a bit cold, and when that cold condenses at night, you find that that provides moisture for the crops. Not so much, but it's better than Kitengela. So those factors really help. So you need to know what varieties are for where. So like tomatoes, there are different varieties for different places. In hot areas, you have different types of maize. If you go to Kitale, they don't plant the same type of maize. They plant in Machakos and those kinds of things. And I know I'm not going into much detail, but because I've gone into detail in my book, guys, you guys already know I'm a published author. This is my second book. Yeah, so this one has pictures, has explanations. I really go into details. So this is just an overview of just the basics of starting. So we've described what to plant and where to plant, and then how. So you need to come up with a plan of how it's actually going to happen. We've all heard about telephone farming, but this is the one thing about farming. Farming and urbanization rarely go hand in hand. Usually you need enough space to actually do considerable farming. And then there are other factors, like if you live in a high-rise apartment in a balcony and you want to farm to sell your sukuma wiki, surely that's not practical. But you can always lease land. You can always, you know, use your dad's land or relative land that is lying idle. You can go and hire. You can go and ask your neighbor who has an empty lot next to your high-rise or your apartment and it's lying vacant, and you can tell them, can I farm your land? Because farming mostly doesn't involve a lot of infrastructure. Most people won't mind. It's not like, can I build on your land? They'll be like, hey, getting you out might be an issue. But when you ask them to farm, most people don't have an issue because at least they know you're keeping their property safe in this Kenya of land grabbing. Yeah, so how you're going to do it, you need to play it in your mind. Like, so let's say I was still working in corporate when I started doing cucumber farming, and I was supplying to Nakumatt. There is a subsidiary of theirs called Fresh and Juicy. It's based in Limuru. Guys, if you know this place, please make a comment or let me know if you know that place in Limuru. Yeah, so I used to supply cucumbers for them. Yes, yet I used to have an 8 to 5. So what I used to do is either in the evening, because I had a car, and this is where cars become assets. Don't just buy a car and then it's sitting there in the parking lot or tying jua and looking pretty. Find a hustle for it so that it makes sense for you in the long run, because cars depreciate. Anyway, so either in the evenings, I would just make that sacrifice, leave in the office like 4:35 before traffic, come check out how the farm is doing, and then also on the weekends I'd be here definitely, and just try and just put, you know how we procrastinate or we're like, we don't feel like, there are some things you just put in your mind that you just say, this is what I'm doing, and I have to do it. You know, you don't have to sit there having a dialogue with your brain and your brain is telling you, oh, but we can hang out, you can rest, you deserve a rest. Just do what you need to do. Don't negotiate with your brain. So yeah, so it means you have to rely on a worker to help you do what you need to do. So you need to think about a worker, you need think about proper training, because you're relying on this person a lot. If you're the one doing it, then it means you have to empower yourself. And so you need to have a plug and play kind of scenario. If they are going to be sales, if Mama Mbogas will be coming to buy sukuma wiki on a weekly basis in your farm, will you be there at least for the day they are selling? Okay, if they sell, do you have a till system? Because when money stays lying around in the house or in the worker's house, it finds use, guys. It finds use. So figure out how that value chain is going to work from beginning to end. And then the other issue is when to start. So are you relying on rain-fed agriculture? Are you relying on irrigation? For me, I'm an irrigation kind of person, not only because I'm in a place where rain-fed agriculture is not sustainable in Kitengela because it's a bit too hot, but if I was doing it in Nyahururu, if I was doing it in Muranga, if I was doing it large scale, if I was doing it 2, 3, 4, 5 acres, probably I wouldn't be too consistent into the irrigation part, because irrigation is expensive. There is a lot of infrastructure, there is consumables, there is a lot of repairs as well. So that's another conversation for another day. So if you would like to know more about irrigation, that's my next video, guys. So hit the bell icon so that, yeah, we're on the same page. Yeah, so on when, it depends on when the rains are starting. And the biggest issue we have in Kenya, or in Africa per se, is that people don't plan ahead. We are last minute people. I'm having an agri tour and people are calling me the night before. People are calling me the morning to pay to go for the tour. I've been publicizing about it for the whole month. This is what happens with Kenyans. They wait last minute. I am not judging. I am also a Kenyan and I plan to go for hikes, but until that, the day of the evening of the following day when we are going for the hike is when I pay, because mashugulis, guys, stuff happens in between and you had paid the deposit and all that. But I understand. But with farming, it's good to prep early. Prepare the land. Do the land preparation bit early enough. If you're supposed to do soil testing, if you're supposed to figure out what fertilizers you're going to use, soil fertility, figure that out beforehand. Know how many bags you're going to need for that season. Know how much costs in terms of labor. Know how much water you're going to need. If you need a tank, don't do prompt purchases in the middle of the seasons. So let land be ready, like the way, let's say right now it's February, but some people prepared their land from December last year because there were no rains, or the rains weren't reliable. So do the land preparation part. If you're plowing, plow. If you're removing what was there before, remove. If you're preparing seed, by that time go to Calro, figure out what's the new variety. Don't keep repeat. You know how our grandmothers used to keep, okay, so you harvest and then you take one bucket and you keep it, and then the rest you can sell or eat, but this is the mbegu for next season. But then you keep putting that mbegu back, and you could be having soil-borne diseases. That mbegu could be depleting, because remember genetics, guys, that those good qualities that were in the original seed keep becoming watered down. So always look for a good variety that you can always replant. And I know this is kind of tricky for some plants that don't have seeds, like strawberries, like garlic, like potatoes. But believe me, there are ways to get a variety that is high in good qualities, and it's tolerant to most diseases. Also make your journey easier. Don't go there hustling with struggles that my grandmother hustled with. Oh, my potatoes have an issue. Anyway, yes, that kind of thing. And the last one that we're going to discuss today is who. So who are you going to sell your product to? Start with the market. My friend called Anzia Sokoni, I love his tagline, Anzia Sokoni. Before you make any steps, as you're doing your research, start with who. Who means market. Who are you going to sell your product to? It really pains me when I see farmers who have done a good job, invested a lot of money, and then planted, and the crop is doing well. They're doing pest control, they're doing fertility, good management. They have really given 100% to their farm. And then product is lying there. There is no market. There is no one to sell to. And then they're calling you, Wangari, I have X amount of tonnage and I need market now. And I'm like, I'm sorry, the only people we look for market as Farmer on Fire, the only people we find market for, now that there are other stakeholders, I can just come and say, no problem, I will help you. I can't afford that anymore. There are other stakeholders in the company, and we only look for market for people who have walked the journey with us, for people who we've grown, you know, we've been with them from beginning to end, because we need to certify the kind of produce and the kinds of yields that they are safe, that there is per requirement, that you know, we won't buy your onions and then tomorrow we open and they are rotting. You know, we need to be assured. So yeah, so those are the 5 tips. Remember, summary: where to farm, location, you can lease, you can rent. It's not that complex. You can even use, you know, garden bags. If you have 25 of this in your small and 8, you're multiplying, because they're vertical gardening, you're planting on a high rise kind of situation. So don't let that be a mental block. So know where to farm, what to farm, which is the crop, variety. Always do your soil test. This I cannot overemphasize, because there's so many theories. There are fertilizer companies attacking each other saying, oh, sijui DAP inaongeza acidity. All fertilizers add acidity to the soil. Why your crops are failing is because you don't know what is in your soil. You don't know what is in your body. You need to go to a lab, get it tested, know what you have excess of, how to reduce it down, know what you don't have, then add on that, and you're at optimum. And then the other thing, manure. It adds carbon and nitrogen. Soils rich in carbon and nitrogen are like the secret ingredients to proper crop farming. So yes, so where, what, how, when, and who. Yes, guys, I hope that is good. I am going to link down below all the related videos that I've done on how to do a soil test, how to buy fertilizer, how to, yeah. So guys, you can click on and see more of that. And thank you for being here today. I'm really excited, and I'm also excited for your agricultural journey. So thank you. Bye bye.